Oh, hello there, and thanks for joining Uncomplicated Math today. Today we're going to be looking at how to multiply a whole number by a decimal. And by the end of this video, you'll know the steps involved when multiplying a whole number by a decimal. So let's get started. So in question number 1, we're being asked to multiply 14 times 15 hundredths. So looking over to the right-hand side here under our steps involved, we can see that our first step is to multiply without decimals. So we're going to work through this multiplication problem as if there aren't any decimals there to begin with. So we're going to start by writing 14 up top, and next we're going to add in our 15 hundredths, which in this case is no longer a decimal, so we don't need a 0 before the decimal point, and we're just going to write 15 down below. So now we can work through the multiplication process of multiplying our ones place. So we're going to multiply 5 times 14. And when we multiply 5 times 4, we get 20. So we're going to write our 0 down below and carry the 2. And then we're going to multiply 5 times 1, which we know gives us 5, plus the additional 2 gives us 7 for 70. So next we're going to put a line through the 2 so we don't get confused. And then we're going to add a 0 down below because now we're going to be multiplying by our tens place. So we're going to be multiplying 10 times 14. So when we multiply 1 times 4, we get 4, so we'll write the 4 down below. And then when we multiply 1 times 1, we get 1 for 140 when we multiply 10 times 14. So now we're going to add everything together. When we add 0 plus 0, we get 0. When we add 7 plus 4, we get 11. So we're going to add a 1 down below, and then we're going to put a 1 up top. So next we're going to add 1 plus 1, which gives us 2 for 210. So now we're going to move on to step number 2, which is to add the decimals back into the answer. And the way that we're going to do that is looking up above here, we can see that in 15 hundredths that we have 2 digits to the right of the decimal place. So we need to make sure that in our answer down below that we have 2 digits to the right of the decimal place. So in this case, the decimal place is going to lie between the 2 and the 1, which is going to give us 2 and 10 hundredths. But we don't actually have to include the hundredths here because 2 and 1/10 is the exact same value. So when we multiply 14 times 15 hundredths, we get 2 and 1/10. So now moving on to question number 2, we're being asked to multiply 8 times 6 and 38 hundredths. So remembering our first step is to multiply without decimals. And here we're actually going to write the question a little differently because we want to make sure that we have the bigger number up top. And if we're including 6 and 38 hundredths, when it's not a decimal, we're going to have a 3-digit number. So we're going to write 638 up top, and then down below, we're going to include our 8. So now we're going to work through the multiplication process. And when we multiply 8 times 8, we get 64. So we're going to write the 4 down below, and we're going to carry the remaining 6. When we multiply 8 times 3, we get 24, plus 6 gives us 30. So we're going to write our 0 down below, and we're going to carry the remaining 3. And when we multiply 8 times 6, we get 48. And then 48 plus 3 gives us 51. And now we're going to move on to step number 2, where we're going to add the decimals back into our answer. And again, we're going to look up top here, and we can see that in 6 and 38 hundredths, we have 2 digits to the right of the decimal place. So we need to make sure in our answer that we have 2 digits to the right of the decimal place. So our decimal is going to conveniently land right between the 1 and the 0 here, giving us 51 and 4 hundredths. So when we multiply 8 times 6 and 38 hundredths, we get 51 and 4 hundredths. So hopefully by now you understand the steps involved when multiplying a whole number by a decimal. Help make math less complicated by smashing those like and subscribe buttons. As always, enjoy today's math journey.